Karen here. We're going to talk about APA for a bit in this video. The thing about APA that unfortunately is true is that you have to look everything up. Okay, when people ask me APA questions, I go look them up. I mean, it's very, very detailed and there's a lot to it. So you just have to look things up. You can use that cite button that is everywhere, but those have errors. Google Scholar particularly has some errors when you use the cite button. So go ahead and use that cite button, cite while you write, cite, but check it. Just use the button, but check everything, check it because every detail in APA matters. So the big deal right now with APA is that we have moved from the 6th edition of APA to the 7th edition of APA. So any resource that you're looking at, make absolutely sure it's the 7th edition. The 7th edition came out at the end of 2019. What that means is every resource that you see on YouTube or anywhere, if it was made before 2019, it's a 6th edition, and you shouldn't use it because there are many, many changes from the 6th edition to the 7th. So anything you look at, make sure it's 2020 or later, and then you'll be in the clear. The biggest change from the 6th edition to the 7th edition, this didn't exist at all in the 6th edition. In the 7th edition is the non-biased language. It's a whole new chapter in the APA book in the 7th edition. And the idea is that you want to be very respectful when you're talking about any population. So for example, like in nursing and medicine, you would not call patients schizophrenics, you would say patients with schizophrenia. Other examples, you would not ever say he or she anymore. It's now politically correct and grammatically correct to say they. Don't ever say he or she, don't be binary. Additionally, you don't want to say things like the poor. You would say people living under the poverty level, and you don't want to say aged. You want to give specific age groups. So the rule of thumb, the way to think about it is to refer to groups the way that they would like to be referred to. Try to be as respectful as possible. So non-biased language is a really big deal with the new 7th edition. Now probably the second best tip I could give you about APA is that when you are reading all that you have to read and all of the homework that you have to read, the entire discipline of nursing is written in APA. So all the articles that you have to read, all of your nursing textbooks are written in APA. And so my advice to you, a very, very simple way to get good at APA is to read it. Pay attention to it. When you're reading a textbook, when you're reading an article, you see an in-text citation, follow that in-text citation to the reference list and test yourself. Just look at the first 5, 10 references in a reference list and try to identify them. What is this? Is this a book? Is this an article? And that will help you a lot. If you can read APA, you'll be able to write APA better because APA is a language. And the point of APA is different than the point we were all told in high school and in undergrad. The point of APA at this level in graduate school, right, is not to see if you're cheating, and it's not really about plagiarism at this point. The point of APA is for scholars to talk to each other. The idea is that somebody is reading what you wrote, and you're writing with the idea that your reader is very interested, unlike undergrad, very interested in what you're writing. You're writing as if you are going to publish, and you're assuming that your reader wants to know where you got the research you're basing what you're presenting on. The reader is assuming you read a lot of things, and you're sharing what you read. You're basing your research on other people's research, and you're assuming that your reader might find a fact that you present in your writing and might want to go learn more about it. And they're going to use that in-text citation, and they're going to go to the reference list. And the point of APA is for you to convey to your reader exactly where you got your information. That's the point of APA. APA is a language that scholars use to talk to each other. Scholars who are long dead use APA to tell us now where they got their research, what they're basing their research on. And we are using APA to talk to scholars who aren't even born yet so we can relate where we got our information. So it's not about cheating. We don't think you're cheating. It's about sharing information and being a good researcher. That's the point of APA. So now I want to show you the most simple method for how to figure out how to cite your sources in APA. I love the APA book, but I don't use it anymore. I don't use OWL, Purdue, anything. This is what I do when someone asks me an APA question. It's exactly what I do. It's the simplest way. This is the most important part of the video, right? All you have to do, if you want to, so my example is TED Talks, just kind of an odd thing to try to cite. The other one would be Cochrane database, or I have a lot of weird things. Some of the nursing students ask me how to cite. All you got to do is go to Google, type in exactly this, APA 7. You got to make sure you put 7, don't forget. Cite, C-I-T-E, and whatever you want to cite, whatever weird thing you want to cite, and then type S-I-T-E, as in website, :edu. Very simple. So whatever you want to cite, use that formula. What you will see are a lot of guides from librarians all over the world who make these great guides on exactly how to cite things in APA. You have many to choose from. If one guide doesn't quite relate to you, how you should cite it, go look at another one, because there's a ton of them. That is what I do when students ask me how to look things up. And that's the deal with APA. You have to look everything up. And a special word about numbers, when you're writing APA, numbers have a lot of rules. And so the rule with numbers, when you're writing a paper and you have to write any number at all, stop, pause, and think, okay, I got to look this up. Because there are so many rules. A good example is, one rule in APA is, if a number is under the number 10, you spell it out. You always spell it out, like for 9, N-I-N-E. But then another rule is, if you use any kind of time at all, like 9 o'clock or 9 months or something, you have to use the numeral. That's a rule. You don't write it out anymore. You use the numeral. However, there's another rule that says you can never ever start a sentence with a numeral. You have to write the number, no matter what number it is. So there's a ton of rules with numbers with APA, so you have to look them all up. The most singular helpful document to help you cite APA, particularly for a journal article, which I find is what most students are citing, is downloadable from the website for the Center for Nurse Writers. It is put out by the American Psychological Association, the APA. They made the rules. They make this document. It shows exactly how to cite a journal article, exactly how to cite a book, and exactly how to cite a book chapter. And what I like about it is that it tells exactly why. It gives a little detail to every single part of the citation, and it's very useful. That is a good document to use. If you use the Cite button, go ahead and do that, but then consult that document as well to make sure it's exactly right, because that's what APA is all about.